Hello, friends. Welcome to today's vlog on health and wellness. So today's topic is, the key difference between being lonely or being alone. So, be alone is like it's probably more voluntary, right? You wanted to be alone. How many times you have heard your friends, you had a fight with your friend or a close relative, and they say, "Please leave me alone for some time." It just probably that person at that point needs a bit of mental peace, right? But then if somebody calls you and say that he or she is feeling lonely, that's a different situation, right? He might not be actually alone at that point of time. He or she might have a lot of friends at that point along with him or her, or say even closed ones, but he's still feeling lonely. Now that's a very different feeling, right? I mean, that's something which I'll discuss in this vlog. What it can, why it happens, and how you can deal with such kind of loneliness, right? So alone time at times is actually very good, right? Alone is when you voluntarily think that, okay, maybe I want to spend some time with myself. I have to think, right? I mean, many times you'll see many people, whenever they're free, just they stick to social media. That means actually they're not giving time to themselves, they're giving the time to the social media. But then some people do different things. They meditate, or even if they don't meditate, they just spend time with themselves completely, even switching on the social media. Why they do that? Those times help them to think, reflect on themselves, what they have done, or just figure out what they could do in the future, right? And they becomes more creative also at times, because they spend time thinking with themselves. So that really helps, right? So alone time is, I think, very important for everyone. But again, lonely is something which you might feel, right? That's not so good. It can actually lead to a lot of stresses and a lot of problems. So in the next part, in the subsequent part, I'll discuss it with my wife, if she has also experienced loneliness, and if she experienced loneliness, how she would actually probably deal with it. Yeah. So stay tuned. Hi there, Goti. How are you?
Fine.
So, what are your plans? Do you have any plans for Diwali?
Nothing. We'll do some. We'll prepare some food and
Crackers, bit of crackers.
a little bit.
Yeah, already India Pakistan match is going on, so people have started
We'll
their
light
Diwali
up
night.
candles. This thing.
So okay, today our topic is, of course, it's health and wellness. So today is being alone versus being lonely.
Mm.
Now the words sound similar, but do you know there is certain difference between the two words?
Yes.
What is that?
Alone means if want to do anything independently, that is related to alone. Or sometimes if want to do anything, or if want to stay away from others,
Right.
then that's related to alone.
So it's more voluntary,
Yeah,
right?
it is depends on you only.
Correct.
Uh,
And lonely?
Alone is a little bit is positive thinking, positive talk. And loneliness, I think when you want to share something to someone, or if you need something, that time if you realize the no, if everyone is with you, but if you are thinking that no one is with me.
So
That is, I think.
it might not be that no one is with you. There are people around you, but you don't feel comfortable. Maybe you might be going in
If
depression.
you want to do something, or if you want to share something with someone, that someone
You don't find.
that is.
Yeah. So loneliness, it could be not related to anybody else. It could be your own problem as well, right? So loneliness, it's a feeling which you are going through, maybe because maybe you're depressed, maybe you're sad, or as you say, you can't share with somebody. It can be different things, right? You can just feel lonely with all your friends around, right? You know them for years, but then you still feel lonely because there might be something going inside you which is bothering you. You don't feel like share. So I think I have been lonely at times as well. Of course, I'm alone many times. That's voluntary, but I have also been gone through the lonely. So with me, I have experienced loneliness. When I have gone through a bad phase in my life during my studies, also. So what I realized is I don't want to speak to my friends that much. It's not that they're not gonna help me; they're gonna help me out, but I'm not gonna talk to them. I just want to think that, okay, let me think about it, and kind of, sometimes I get sad. And I realized one thing about myself. When I'm happy, I really talk to a lot of people. But when I'm sad, at times I don't like to share with others. That's something which I have noticed about myself. So loneliness can be, at times so what I realized is it's important that you understand that you're a little lonely for that period of time.
Yes, yes.
So have you ever experienced loneliness?
Yes, I experienced alone because when I was alone. That time I realized being alone is one of the positive thing. If you alone, then you can do lots of things and lots of no one.
It's like me time. It's like me
it's
time.
me time. But loneliness, suppose what I really faced. Suppose during my tough time like PhD time. So that time the phase was very difficult. That time I realized I need someone to share something. So whatever thing I am feeling,
Okay.
this thing, some happy, there are lots of there are lots of happiness in my life. But still something.
You need some close person to share. Okay.
This that
Yeah, I mean-
felt loneliness.
Okay, so I think everyone goes through that phase of time. Sometimes people, maybe they're going through depression or something. Because you have seen maybe a lot of festivals around, let's say Diwali, this kind of, but some people are lonely at that phase of time. You might not realize it, but they are people. They're lonely, they feel lonely from
So
inside.
something you can share with anyone also, your parents also. Sometimes you need someone as a friend, not as a friend, as a life partner or anything.
Okay.
That time,
So,
otherwise, I was alone for a long time. So for that, I didn't feel anyone. I need anyone
Okay.
to do something. Okay.
Right.
So for some period,
So-
if that loneliness, that is, I think, related to emotional.
Yeah, but I'll tell you one thing. Now, when I'm doing more research about the topic, I realized is sometimes what happens is, when you're in good times, when you're in good time, right? You don't need many people at that point of time. You don't at times form good, strong relationships, bonds, right? So that time you don't form, right? You think like, okay, maybe don't need many friends, and you're like, okay, happy times. And now that is the problem. What happens is when you're in bad times, right? You realize that, oh, you have lost many of the friends now whom you want to share. You don't find that because you're not in touch with
No,
many
you
people.
have lots of friends, but you don't want to share this.
Because you have lost touch with that connection is not there anymore. So I think in that point of time you can revive those connections, you can call them up and say, otherwise you can actually have some good connections always. And some connections at least you should form when you're going through that rough phase, Because at that point of time you need some people. Of course, the people you can trust, you cannot share everything with everyone, but you really need some really close people. So you always need some people who are really maybe your family or your good friends. You always need that because those tough times you realize how important those people are because they're gonna help you out in that because they know what you're going through, or at least you can share with them. So I think loneliness at times is something which, if you realize it, you can. But I think the first thing is you should realize it. It takes time to realize that I'm lonely.
Yes.
Because you're like, oh, I have everybody, I have friends, I have family, so I have everything. I have a good job, maybe everything you have in
It
life. But
happens
still,
with everyone.
I think some people go through it, but once you go through it, you should realize that you're going through that, and then you can maybe sort. You can actually go to your good friends and talk about it. So, what do you think? What are the situations which lead to this loneliness? Is it only tough times, or you can just like that feel lonely? Like, how do you think?
Tough time is sad time or sad time.
Bad times,
So if you are sad related to something, that time also. Yeah, I think.
Okay. And okay, let's talk about like being alone also. So what do you think are the advantages? Do you think people should be alone at times? Do you think it's important to be
That's
alone?
important because
Why?
so if anyone is with you, then for doing any new thing, so you can take help from others. But if you are alone, so no one is with you, then you think you can do anything. Any new thing you can do. You can find new adventurous things if you are alone.
Okay, you're more independent, right? That kind of thing.
Yes.
Or new adventure. Yeah, I have heard about solo travel. People do
So
that.
one line is there, the introduction into nice of the adventure. So
Okay,
that
means
means
if no one is there with you.
So you don't feel like loneliness. You are alone. So if you are alone, it is fine. So you can
Yeah,
do
for
anything.
me, I always need my me time because I think I'm more creative when I'm alone. Not that don't take other words. So it's like I need my own space at times, right? And everybody needs that, right? At that time you become more creative and you start thinking about you'll slow down a bit and you start thinking what's going on, how to if there's a problem, you know how to solve it, you know how to deal with it because you know how to sort it out. You have time, you have given time to yourself to think about that problem. So I think being alone is a very fantastic thing. if you really want it, you can have it. But loneliness, it can lead to depression. It can be very serious at times. So
for a few moments of time, if you are feeling loneliness, that is fine.
That's okay,
But
yeah,
it is so
Suddenly-
everyone has
I think because if somebody has
faced
already-
this kind of a period.
if you have lost some near ones, somebody's died, very close friends, so you might be feeling lonely. That you can eventually you have to go through that phase anyways. So or you have not done good in an exam and you want to be in a corner of the room for some time, but for some time only, right? And these kind of things you should, if it goes for longer time, you need to share with others. I think that's probably is. But yeah, I mean that's something which I think alone is sometimes I used to get confused. What is alone and well? But then they're very different words. So alone is more of a voluntary thing, which you decide to be alone for some time. It's say, people say, right, leave me alone for some time, right? So that means you want to have that me time. But loneliness is something which you're not invited. It just comes to you at times, and it can.
It's really emotional.
It's emotional. So yeah, I mean that's I think what I discuss also in how you probably deal with that loneliness. But yeah, thank you for your time. Thanks. Hi everyone. So you would have heard my wife speaking about being alone versus being lonely, right? I mean, she had also been had tough time and she was lonely as well. So as she said, right, we all go through that phase. Especially during pandemic, if you remember, you might would have also gone through that if you're staying away from parents and good friends. So you might have faced, you might be, lonely. Pandemic could actually make many people feel the same. So you would have seen that it actually raised a lot of stresses, right? That's a lot of uncomfortable situation. So yeah, so now you might have all the friends, and but also it's something pandemic happened when there was not many people around you, but it can also happen when there are many people around you. You can still go through that lonely phase. So the first thing is being non-judgmental about it. Don't think that why you're lonely and feeling guilty. Oh, I'm lonely, I have everyone around me. Don't be that. It can happen to you. So just be non-judgment about it and understand and go through that emotion. And once you realize that why you are feeling that way, maybe then you can revive your long lost friendships. Or if you are having a really good bond with your family, parents or brothers and sisters, you can really share and discuss with them. Maybe spend more quality time with your family if you're really feeling lonely. So that's one thing. It helps really, and actually these tough times actually, those good friendships which we have built over few years, or good relationship with your family, that really helps at that point of time. So if you don't have good bonding with your family and friends, so it's high time, there is a saying that dug your well before you're thirsty. So you will realize it when you have a tough time. They might be really helpful for you. You'll not at least feel lonely. So have those good relationships, strong bonds with your close family and good friends. So yeah, I hope you like our today's vlog, and do let me know what are the next topics which you want to hear from us. Yeah, thank you.